This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutadano welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And today, January 22nd, we celebrate the birthday of one of the best pure snipers ever. Kind of like Bobby Orr, a great player who actually got injured, had an injury flagged season, and then one of the biggest enemies of the Blue Shirt Underground Radio group. He is a New York Islander, Mike Bossy. So Mike Bossy today turned 64 years old on January 22nd. He played all his career with the New York Islanders and was part of the four-time champions of that. Bossy won the Calder for Rookie of the Year in 78. He won the Conn Smythe in 82. One of only two players to score consecutive Stanley Cup winning goals, 82 and 83. I believe Stanley Cup winning goals, yeah. Cy Dennehy, I think, is the other guy, 20 and 21. And the only player, well, 1921, if you must know. And the only player to record 4 game-winning goals in one playoff series. All 4 game-winning goals in the 83 conference final against Boston were his. He's the all-time leader in average goals scored per regular season game. Third highest all-time average points per regular season game. And only one of 5 players to get 50 goals in 50 games. Which is amazing. Bossy was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1991 and part of greatest ever. So basically, Bossy grew up in Laval. His mother was English, his father was French. That's why, of course, he could speak French well, but his last name is Bossy. He was one of the prominent players in the Quebec Junior League. At age 15, he started with Laval and scored 309 goals in 5 seasons. That's more than 60 goals a year. He was considered not rugged enough and defensively weak by NHL scouts. His 532 points are still a Quebec Junior League record to this day, and Bossy's number 17 is retired by the Acadie Bathurst Teton, Acadie Bathurst, which is the incarnation of the former Laval franchise. Bossy was passed over by 12 teams in the 77 NHL draft, including the Rangers and Leafs twice. The Leafs expected him to hold out for more than they wanted to pay, and the Rangers opted for highly ranked Lucien Dubois and Ron Duguay. Fortunately for the Rangers, they got a good pick. I mean, Ron Duguay is a fantastic guy. Lucien Dubois, well, hit and miss, but he wasn't that bad, and he wasn't that good either. The Leafs knew who to hold up, and basically they had the 11th and 12th pick. So basically, Toronto took John Anderson and Trevor Johansson, both from the Toronto Marlies. Well, Anderson was a right winger, Johansson was a defenseman. But, a lot of people passed him over. That's kind of stupid, don't you think? Buffalo passed on Bossy because they liked Rick Sealing's checking ability. Cleveland passed on Bossy because Bossy's agent wanted to give the Barons inflated salary requirements. And, Cleveland couldn't really afford him. So they went with Mike Crombie instead, who would definitely be a better player for St. Louis. Scotty Bowman regretted that Montreal passed on Bossy and went with Mark Napier instead because they wanted toughness. Although it did work out in the end. Napier was a decent player. So the others took him with the 15th pick. Torrey was torn between Bossy and Dwight Foster. Kitchener! Yep, Dwight Foster, he played for the Kitchener Rangers. That's why I say that. Bossy was a scorer who could not check. Well, Foster had a defensive aspect and led the OHL in points. Al Armour is credited with telling Bill Torrey to go after Bossy, who said that it's figured it would be easier to teach a scorer how to check. And basically, yeah. So Bossy actually played on the top line in his rookie campaign with Trottier and Gillies, called the Trio Grande line. He replaced Billy Harris on that line. His first NHL game was when he scored his first goal against Don Edwards, another former Kitchener Ranger, by the way. So Bossy boldly said he could score 50 goals in his rookie campaign. And he did. He got 53. He smashed the record previously held by Richard Martin, if you want to, 1972 for the Sabres. However, that record, Bossy's record, would be broken by Teemu in 93, when Teemu put 76 on the board. Wow. Bossy got 25 power play goals to lead the league. He won the Calder and was a second-team All-Star. And actually started for the Campbell Conference in the All-Star game. Nice. Bossy did pretty well for himself against Toronto in the 78 quarterfinals. However, Toronto basically bruised him up, especially Jerry Butler, who hit Bossy from behind. He was sent to the hospital for neck sprain in Game 6. He did play Game 7, but he couldn't score, and Toronto won the game 2-1. So Bossy was a fantastic player and all that. However, 1980, the 80-81 season basically was when he really shone. Coming off his first Stanley Cup win with the Islanders, there was a real feeling about Bossy and Charlie Simmer of the Kings aiming to be scoring 50 goals in 50 games, tying the mark set by the great Rocket Richard, who did it in 1945. Charlie Simmer actually nearly got 50 goals in 50 games. He was just off by 1 goal. He got a hat trick to make it 49 goals in 50 games. Bossy played against the Quebec Nordiques. And it was funny because if you watch Leafs TV like I do, they did the Leafs Whalers game from 1981. That was when Dave Keon came back to the Garden. The Gardens. Yeah, the Gardens. And basically, they decided to have a live look-in of the Nordiques versus Islanders because Bossy needed to score twice to get 50 goals in 50 games. And they did all that. And Jix McDonald, the play-by-play guy, actually acknowledged it. So basically, Bossy scored twice in the final 5 minutes and got 50 and 50. Richard gave him a telegram. Bossy got 9 hat tricks, got 68 goals, and did fantastic for himself. So the others, once again, won the Stanley Cup. In an easier matchup, if you will, because the Flyers were tough for the first time, and then the North Stars in 81. 82, he signed a new 6-year contract. And he actually scored the winning goal in Game 1 of the Cup final against Vancouver with 2 seconds left in overtime. Bossy was fantastic. Scored 7 times in the Stanley Cup finals, tying him with Jean Beliveau for that mark, and won the Conn Smythe Trophy. And Bossy was fantastic. He scored 9 goals against the Bruins in the conference finals, which was amazing, which is the record. And he actually ended up scoring the winning goal in Game 4 of the 83 finals against the Oilers to be the second player to score Stanley Cup winning goals in back-to-back years. Unfortunately, I was wrong. I said Cy Dennehy. I'm wrong. It's Jack Darrow, D-A-R-R-A-G-E. I was right with the years 2021. But then again, Bossy started getting knee problems and back problems, and basically, he was just not himself, despite him being the fastest player to score 500 goals in NHL history and all that. But Bossy had some surgery problems. He wanted to attend training camp in 87, but his pain just got to him. He had 2 discs in the lower back that were damaged and had to have Bossy sit out for therapy. Torrey offered to trade Bossy to the Habs, but Bossy declined. LA even wanted to make Bossy come in as a free agent, but Bossy declined the offer, so he retired in 1988 at the age of 30 years old, which is amazing. 573 goals, 553 assists, so that's 1,126 points. Pretty good, eh? The Islanders retired Bossy's number 22 March 1992, becoming the second Islander after Danny Potvin to have that thing. His legacy was fantastic. Most goals per season, 57. I know that in the 1980s, scoring was way up and all that, but yeah. He was basically huge. He never won the Hart and never won the Art Ross, which sucked because Bossy was always a great MVP candidate and a great scorer. Unfortunately, Lafleur, Trottier, and Gretzky basically took those awards away from him. Bossy was just fantastic and all that. Bossy would do some stuff with the Islanders and all that. So yeah, it was amazing. So anyway, Bossy was actually a consultant on a Canadian cartoon show called The Raccoons when they did The Raccoons on Ice. The Raccoons was a famous Canadian children's show in the 1980s. So yeah, and the evil character Cedric Sneer wore a New York Islanders jersey with number 22 as an homage to Bossy. Weird, eh? Anyway, Calder 78, 7-time All-Star, part of the All-Star game, 5-time first All-Star, 3-time second All-Star, 3 Lady Bings, 83, 84, 86. The Conn Smythe 82 and 4 Stanley Cups, of course, for the Islanders franchise. So basically, he has some records. He actually has these records right now. Well, the most Islanders goals at 573 and, well, regular season and playoff goals with 85. And here's the following NHL records he still has. Most consecutive 50-goal seasons, 9. Most 50-goal seasons without it being consecutive, 9, tied with Gretzky. Most 60-goal seasons, 5, which is tied with Gretzky. Highest goals per game average career, .76. Most power play goals in one playoff season, 9, tied with Neely. Most consecutive hat tricks, 3, tied with Joe Malone, who did this twice. It's like, geez, this guy was better than I thought he was. I mean, I know he was a New York Islander, and since I joined the Blue Shirt group in 2010, I basically have more of a hate for the Islanders than you think I do. But basically put, it's huge. Like, he had huge numbers. I know he scored more goals than assists, but Ovechkin does that all the time. He played in 2 Canada Cups, 81 and 84. He scored a lot of points in those. 81 was when Canada got shocked by those Soviets, but 84 was when they got the title. Bossy has 2 daughters, Josiane and Tanya, which is pretty good, I guess. So yeah, man, to think about that. Detroit mortgaged their future on Dale McCourt, didn't work out. Colorado had Barry Beck, although Barry Beck would be a good player. Washington went with Robert Picard, nah. Vancouver went with Yuri Gillis. Cleveland went with Mike Crombie. Better St. Louis. Chicago's pick with Doug Wilson was warranted. I mean, Doug Wilson was the face of Chicago's defense. Minnesota went with Brad Maxwell. Rangers went with Lucien Debois. St. Louis with Scott Campbell, a defenseman. Scott Campbell. I know a kid named Scott Campbell, but not the same guy. Mark Napier, Montreal. John Anderson, Trevor Johansson, Ron Duguay, Rod McSeeling. So yeah, man. A lot of the teams passed over on Bossy. And Ranger fans sometimes are kicking themselves for passing him over not once, but twice. But at least they got Duguay. The Leafs ended up with bullshit for brains. So you got to think about that. Anyway, down below in the description will be a talk about Blue Shirt Underground and how you join if you're a New York Rangers fan and you have not joined the Facebook group already. So anyway, thanks for watching. Adieu.